The stars looked the same as they always did from the bridge of the CSS Pathfinder. Captain Frank Miller rubbed his tired eyes as he scanned the empty space before him. 200 years of war between the Galactic Confederation and the Voidborn Empire had led to this. Endless patrols along borders that rarely changed. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual energy readings," said Officer Ben Clark, his fingers moving quickly over the glowing control panel. "Coming from an uncharted system in the Orion Arm." Miller frowned. His orders were clear: maintain the patrol route, report anything unusual, but do not investigate without authorization. Yet something about these readings pulled at his curiosity. "How unusual are we talking about, Clark?" "Sir, the pattern suggests weapons testing, but the technology baseline is all wrong. It's primitive and advanced at the same time." Miller made his decision. Set course for the source. Full stealth protocols. 3 days later, the Pathfinder hovered at the edge of a yellow star system, watching a small blue planet. "It doesn't make sense," said Science Officer Kelly Jones, shaking her head. "They've barely reached their own moon, but these energy signatures suggest weapons capability that could rival mid-tier Confederation technology." Miller studied the sensor readings. The beams on this world were clearly in an early space age, with primitive rockets and orbital stations. Yet somehow, they had developed energy weapons far beyond what should be possible at their technological level. "Record everything and prepare a full report for Admiral Wright," Miller ordered. "We're heading back to Confederation space." At Confederation headquarters, Admiral Susan Wright listened to Miller's report with growing interest. "These humans could be exactly what we need," she said to her advisors after Miller finished. "The war has been at a standstill for decades. We need something the Voidborn won't expect." Within a month, a Confederation diplomatic vessel entered Earth's solar system, broadcasting peaceful intentions in every language they could detect from the planet's communications. On Earth, chaos and wonder swept across nations as the massive alien ship appeared in orbit. After the initial shock subsided, world leaders quickly formed a united front to meet the visitors. Alan Carter, a skilled negotiator known for his calm under pressure, led the human delegation alongside Major Lisa Green, who represented Earth's military interests. "We come seeking allies," said Zix Nor, the Confederation's chief diplomat. The tall, blue-skinned alien spoke through a translation device. "Our civilization has been at war for 200 years with an enemy that threatens all free worlds." Carter listened carefully, asking smart questions about the conflict, the technology the aliens offered, and what they expected in return. "And what exactly do you see in us that makes us valuable allies?" Major Green asked bluntly. "We must be centuries behind your technology." Admiral Wright, who had joined the delegation, smiled. An expression she had learned was friendly among humans. "You think differently," she explained. "For centuries, our war has followed patterns. The Voidborn know our strategies as well as we know theirs. But you?" She pointed to a tablet showing recordings of Earth's military exercises. "You approach problems in ways neither we nor the Voidborn would consider." Over the next weeks, as Earth's governments debated the offer of alliance, the Confederation shared limited technology as a show of good faith. Scientists and engineers worked day and night to understand the alien tech. Meanwhile, in the dark space beyond Neptune, Voidborn spy probes recorded everything. In his throne room on the Voidborn capital world, Emperor Korzath watched the recordings of the small, soft-bodied humans. "These creatures dare to enter our war," he hissed to his generals. "Destroy them now, before they become a problem." But the Voidborn would soon learn what the Confederation already suspected. Underestimating humans was a dangerous mistake. 6 months passed since the aliens arrived on Earth. In that short time, everything changed. The world's nations formed the Earth Defense Force, with General Paul Bennett in charge. Bennett was an old soldier with gray hair, but sharp eyes that missed nothing. "These alien weapons are impressive," Bennett said as he walked through the new training facility with Major Lisa Green. but they're using them all wrong. Green nodded. Their tactics haven't changed in centuries. They fight like they're following an old rulebook. Around them, human soldiers trained with weapons that glowed with blue energy. The Confederation had shared enough technology to give Earth a fighting chance, but not their most advanced systems. Still, human engineers were already finding ways to improve the alien designs. In orbit around Mars, Captain Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge of the ES's Defender, Earth's first ship built with Confederation help. The Defender was small by alien standards, but Martinez loved it all the same. "Captain, we're picking up ships entering the system," said her first officer, John Davis. "They don't match Confederation profiles." Martinez felt her heart beat faster. Battle stations. Alert the colony ships to fall back to Earth orbit. The colony mission to Mars was humanity's first step into space using the new technology. 5 transport ships carried the materials and people needed to build the first human settlement beyond Earth. "Incoming transmission," Davis reported. "They're demanding we surrender." Martinez smiled. "Let's show them how humans fight instead." The Voidborn raiders expected an easy victory. Their 5 warships approached confidently, weapons charged. They didn't expect the Defender to charge straight at them. "Full speed. Bring us right down their center line," Martinez ordered. "Captain, that's suicide." Davis protested. "Not if we do it right," Martinez said. "Fire disruptors as we pass, then execute Maneuver Baker 7. The Defender shot between 2 Voidborn ships, firing at point-blank range. Then it cut engines, spun 180 degrees using maneuvering thrusters, and fired again from behind. The Voidborn ships, built for long-range combat, couldn't turn quickly enough to respond. Within 20 minutes, 3 enemy ships were disabled, 1 was destroyed, and the last fled back to Voidborn space. News of the victory spread quickly through the Confederation. No one had expected the humans to win their first battle, especially not against superior numbers. At Confederation headquarters, scientists Dr. Jack Russell and Dr. Maria Gomes were assigned to study human warfare tactics. "They don't fight like anyone else," Russell explained to the Confederation Council. "When we see a stronger enemy, we retreat and regroup. When we have the advantage, we press forward. It's logical. But humans don't think that way," Gomes added. "They take risks no other species would consider. They use old tactics that were abandoned centuries ago, combined with new technology in ways we never imagined." Admiral Wright nodded. "This is exactly why we reached out to them." An old council member named Vextor spoke up. "But if they're so unpredictable in battle, can we trust them as allies?" Wright smiled. "The question isn't whether we can trust them. The question is, what will the Voidborn do when they realize the rules of war have changed?" Back on Earth, General Bennett watched as new ships took shape in orbit. Factories around the world worked day and night to build weapons and train soldiers. Humanity was preparing for war on a scale they had never imagined before. "Do you think we're ready?" asked President Laura Wilson during a briefing. Bennett looked at the reports from Captain Martinez's victory. "The Voidborn think we'll be easy to defeat. Their mistake is thinking we'll fight like the Confederation." He looked up with determination in his eyes. "We'll fight like humans, and they won't know what hit them." In the darkness of Voidborn space, Emperor Korzath crushed the report of the failed raid in his clawed hand. "These humans must be destroyed," he growled. "Prepare the fleet. We will crush this problem before it grows any larger." 1 year had passed since the ships from the stars came to Earth. Now a new flag flew at the Confederation Assembly, the blue and green symbol of Earth, carried by Ambassador Kevin Diaz. Though small and quiet, Diaz had a mind sharp as a blade and never backed down in negotiations. "My people offer our military support," Diaz said to the Assembly, his voice calm but firm. "In return, we ask for more technology exchanges. Fair trade makes strong allies." Many alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. Humans had proven useful but dangerous. Still, The war with the Voidborn pushed the Confederation to accept the deal. Far from the grand halls of the Assembly, intelligence officer Lucy Peterson crouched in the shadows of a border world bar. With her brown hair dyed blue and fake scales glued to her neck, she looked like any other trader in this mix of species. Her real mission: gather information on Voidborn movements. The two Voidborn officers at the next table didn't notice her. Their translator devices were good, but Peterson's implant was better. A mix of Confederation tech improved by human engineers. "The Emperor has approved the attack," one Voidborn said, his scaled skin glinting in the dim light. "The human world will burn before their next solar cycle." Peterson's heart raced. She had to warn Earth. 3 days later, Peterson's stolen ship limped into Earth orbit, damaged from her narrow escape. She transmitted her warning directly to Earth Defense Command. General Bennett and his team worked through the night, preparing a surprise for the coming Voidborn fleet. "They expect us to defend from orbit," Bennett told his officers. "So we won't." When the Voidborn fleet arrived, 30 massive warships, they found Earth seemingly defenseless. No ships challenged them. Their sensors showed only civilian stations in orbit. "Too easy," Commander Vexor of the Voidborn said with a hiss of pleasure. "Begin planetary bombardment." The first Voidborn ships moved into position. That's when Commander Steve Ortiz sprung the trap. "Execute Operation Trojan Horse, now," Ortiz ordered from his hidden command center on the moon. What the Voidborn had seen as civilian stations suddenly powered up, revealing themselves as disguised weapon platforms. From the dark side of the moon, 24 Earth ships appeared, using the moon's gravity to slingshot toward the enemy at incredible speed. Most shocking of all, hundreds of small objects launched from Earth, simple rockets carrying heavy metal rods. No explosives, no energy weapons, just basic physics. The rods hit Voidborn ships at such speed that they punched straight through shields designed to stop energy attacks. "They're using kinetic weapons," a Voidborn officer shouted in disbelief. "Adjust shields." But it was too late. The battle turned into chaos as human ships darted between the larger Voidborn vessels, firing from unexpected angles. Earth's weapon platforms targeted the engines of enemy ships, leaving them drifting invulnerable. Commander Ortiz directed the battle from the moon base, his face tense but determined. "Focus fire on their command ship," he ordered. "Cut off the head of the snake." Within hours, the night sky above Earth lit up with burning Voidborn ships. Of the 30 that arrived, 22 were destroyed or disabled. The rest fled back to Voidborn space. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. The Confederation Council called an emergency meeting. "This changes everything," Admiral Wright told the Council. The Voidborn expected an easy victory. Instead, they suffered their greatest defeat in a century. An alien counselor leaned forward. "What happens when the humans bring this style of warfare to other battlefields?" "The war changes," Wright said simply. "After 200 years of stalemate, the war finally changes." On his throne, surrounded by the heads of defeated enemies, Emperor Korzath received news of the failed attack. His roar of rage echoed through the palace halls. "These humans are not just animals," he told his generals, yellow eyes burning with hate. "They are dangerous animals. Gather all our forces. We will crush them completely." But across the galaxy, fear was spreading, not just of the Voidborn, but of what humanity might become when fully armed with Confederation technology. 2 years had passed since first contact. The war had changed in ways no one expected. Human officers now served on Confederation ships, teaching alien crews to think differently about battle. Earth's factories worked day and night, building ships that mixed human designs with alien technology. Colonel Diane Foster stepped off her shuttle onto the Confederation battleship Glory of Dawn. At 45, Foster had gray streaks in her dark hair and scars on her hands from 20 years in Earth's military. Now she commanded a special team of humans and aliens. "Welcome aboard, Colonel," said Kavor, a tall alien with purple skin. Your team is ready for briefing. Foster nodded and followed him to a room where 12 soldiers waited. 5 humans and 7 aliens from different Confederation species. Our mission is to capture a void-born research facility, Foster explained, pointing to a hologram of a space station. Intelligence says they're developing new shield technology there. A green-skinned alien named Zix raised his hand. Standard approach would be to disable their outer defenses, then send in heavy troops through the main docking bay. Foster shook her head. That's exactly what they'll expect. We're going to do this the human way. She smiled. We're going in through the garbage disposal system. The alien team members looked at each other in confusion. The waste management system? Asked Trell, a beetle-like alien. That is not dignified. No, Foster agreed, but it's the last place they'll look for us, and dignity won't matter if we're dead. 3 days later, Foster's team crawled through the narrow waste pipes of the Voidborn station. The smell was terrible, but they reached the inside without being detected. Split into 3 groups, Foster whispered. Team 1, secure the data center. Team 2, find the research labs. Team 3, with me to the control room. What followed shocked the alien members of Foster's team. Instead of a direct assault, the humans used noise distractions to draw guards away. They hid in ceiling panels and under floor grates. When they had to fight, they used the environment, throwing chemicals from the labs to create smoke, or shutting off gravity in sections to confuse voidborn troops. This is not how we were trained to fight, Kavor told Foster as they downloaded research data. That's the point, Foster replied. The Voidborn know how you fight. They don't know how we fight. The mission succeeded beyond expectations. Foster's team captured not just data, but also working prototypes of the new shield technology. Back on Earth, engineer Ryan Cooper worked in a lab filled with both alien tech and old human equipment. He held up what looked like an ancient revolver pistol, but its cylinder glowed with Confederation energy cells. It doesn't make sense, said the Confederation scientist observing his work. Why put advanced power cells in such a primitive delivery system? Cooper grinned. Because your shields are designed to stop energy weapons fired in certain ways. They aren't designed to stop physical bullets carrying energy packets that only activate after impact. He fired the weapon at a test shield. The energy-tipped bullet passed through the shield as if it wasn't there, then exploded with energy on the other side. You've made our most advanced defensive technology useless, the alien scientist said, voice filled with worry. No, Cooper corrected. I've made it obsolete against humans. There's a difference. On the Confederation flagship, Admiral Sam Nelson watched a battle simulation. Nelson had resisted human tactics at first, but after seeing them work at the Battle of Arcturus, he had become their strongest supporter. The old admirals won't like these changes, his aide warned. Nelson shrugged. The old admirals have been fighting the same war for 200 years without winning. It's time for the human method. Across the galaxy, the Voidborn Empire felt the change. For the first time in centuries, they were losing ground. Their emperor demanded answers. How do we fight an enemy that doesn't follow the rules of war? His generals asked each other. The answer was becoming clear, though none dared say it. Perhaps they couldn't. 3 years after humans joined the war, the Voidborn were losing badly. But new problems were growing. Many in the Confederation were beginning to fear their human allies. Diplomat Nicole Warren felt the change as she walked into the Grand Meeting Hall on Centauri Prime. The alien representatives moved away slightly as she passed. Their whispers stopped when she looked their way. They're afraid of us, Warren told her assistant as they took their seats. Can you blame them? He replied. 3 years ago, we barely had space stations. Now we're changing a war they've fought for centuries. The meeting was tense. A tall bird-like alien named Kelvor spoke first. We appreciate human military support, he said carefully, but we must discuss limits on technology sharing. Some members worry about how quickly Earth advances. Warren kept her face calm, though she felt angry inside. "We've lost thousands of lives fighting your war," she said, "and now you want to hold us back." Later that day, in a bar filled with aliens from across the galaxy, 4 off-duty human soldiers sat drinking strange blue liquid. They laughed loudly, their voices carrying across the room. A group of reptilian aliens at another table glared at them. One stood and walked over. "You humans think you own the galaxy now," the alien hissed. What happened next was recorded by security cameras and spread across the Confederation network. The human soldiers didn't use weapons. They didn't need to. In less than a minute, they had knocked down all 5 reptilians using only their hands and a broken chair. The video shocked many aliens. Humans were physically stronger than most species, but what really scared them was how the humans fought, with a mix of training and wild improvisation that seemed impossible to predict. Nicole Warren saw the problem growing worse. She contacted Cretal, an alien anthropologist who had studied humans. "We need to help them understand us," Warren said. "Fear is making this alliance weak." Cretal agreed. Together, they created videos explaining human culture, showing not just human fighting skills, but also human art, music, and cooperation. "Humans can be violent," Cretal explained in the videos, "but they are equally capable of great kindness. They are not one thing. They contain many opposites." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Greg Harrison was working late on the Confederation space station Unity when he noticed something strange in the maintenance logs. Someone had accessed the life support systems for the human quarters. Harrison dug deeper and found evidence of sabotage. The air systems for the human section had been set to slowly reduce oxygen levels over the next week. Who would do this? He wondered, quickly fixing the system. Harrison started an investigation. What he found surprised him. A small group from several Confederation species had formed a secret organization called Guardians of the Future. They believed humans would eventually take over the galaxy if not stopped. Rather than reporting them immediately, Harrison did something unexpected. He talked to them. "You're right to be concerned," he told Jixna, one of the group's leaders. "We humans can be dangerous. But we're not your enemy. Let me show you." Over the next month, Harrison invited members of the group to meet human families, visit Earth art exhibitions on the station, and watch human children play. Slowly, understanding grew. "You are strange creatures," Jixna told Harrison later, "capable of great violence, but also great compassion. I think perhaps we judged too quickly." The conspiracy was exposed, but Harrison's approach turned enemies into friends. His story spread through the Confederation, helping many aliens see humans differently. In her office, Ambassador Warren received a report about Harrison's actions. "This is how we win the peace," she told Cretal, "even if we help win the war." Yet as human ships pushed deeper into voidborn territory, the question remained in many alien minds: what would happen when the war ended? What would humans do then? 4 years after Earth joined the war, the combined Confederation human fleet pushed toward the voidborn homeworlds. Victory seemed close. Commander Julia Hayes stood on the bridge of the ES Horizon, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. At just 32, Hayes was young for such an important command, but she had proven herself in a dozen battles, creating strategies that confused and defeated the enemy time after time. Status report. Hayes called to her crew, a mix of humans and aliens who had worked together for 2 years. "All systems ready, Commander," replied her second officer, a blue-skinned alien named Trell. "The fleet is in formation and awaiting your order." Hayes looked at the holographic map showing their target, a major voidborn supply base. Taking it would open the path to the enemy's core worlds. "All ships, begin approach," she ordered. "Execute Battle Plan Delta." The fleet moved forward in an unusual pattern. Instead of the tight formations preferred by Confederation tacticians for thousands of years, Hayes had her ships spread out in seemingly random groups. This made it harder for the enemy to target them all at once. The battle began well. Voidborn defenses fell quickly under the combined attack. But then something strange happened. "Commander," shouted the sensor officer, "I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the star." Hayes frowned. Stars didn't suddenly change their energy output. "All ships, pull back immediately," she ordered, trusting her instincts. Maximum speed. Most ships responded in time. 3 didn't make it. The star flashed with blinding light, then started to swell. The beginning of a nova that shouldn't happen for millions of years. "They've weaponized the star," Hayes whispered in horror. "They're making it explode." The fleet retreated to safe distance and watched as the artificial nova destroyed everything in the system, including the Voidborn base they had come to attack. "They sacrificed their own base to stop us," Trell said, his voice shaking. 2 days later, terrible news reached the fleet. The human colony on New Terra had been destroyed when its star suddenly went nova. 10,000 human colonists died in minutes. When Earth received news of the attack, silence fell across the planet. Then came anger. Admiral Carl Watson called an emergency meeting at Confederation headquarters. "This superweapon changes everything," he told the gathered leaders. "The Voidborn are destroying stars. They'll sacrifice their own worlds to stop us." "Can we find and destroy this weapon?" asked a Confederation general. Watson nodded. "We believe so, but it will require a special team to penetrate deep into Voidborn territory." Watson had already selected his team, the best soldiers from all Confederation species, led by himself. His second in command was Commander Eric Freeman, a quiet man known for solving impossible problems. "This mission has a 20% chance of success," Watson told the volunteers. "But if we fail, billions will die across the galaxy." The mission launched in secret. Using a captured Voidborn ship, Watson's team slipped past enemy lines. They located the superweapon, a massive station orbiting a black hole, using its gravity to create devices that could destabilize stars from a distance. "We need to plant explosives in the main reactor," Freeman explained as they prepared to board the station. "But someone needs to stay behind to make sure they detonate." The team fought their way through the station. Many died. When they reached the reactor, Watson was badly wounded. "Get the Admiral out," Freeman ordered the others. "I'll finish this." "Freeman, don't be stupid," Watson argued weakly. "We need you." Freeman smiled sadly. "The mission needs one of us to stay. The detonator is damaged. It has to be triggered manually." As the team escaped with Watson, Freeman set the explosives. He sent one last message: "Tell Earth we did it." When the superweapon exploded, the shockwave destroyed 30 Voidborn ships nearby. News of Freeman's sacrifice spread across the galaxy. Here was a human who had given his life to save billions. Not just humans, but all species. The Voidborn had hoped their superweapon would terrify the galaxy. Instead, it united them as never before. 5 years after humans entered the galactic stage, the war ended. The Voidborn Empire surrendered after their last fleet was destroyed near their home world. The peace talks were held on Harmony Station, a neutral world known for its beautiful floating gardens. Dr. Michelle Baker represented Earth at the peace conference. She was not a soldier or politician, but a historian who understood both human and alien cultures. Beside her sat Confederation President Sol Vore, a tall alien with silver skin who had supported the human alliance from the beginning. Across the table sat the Voidborn delegates. Without their weapons and armor, they looked less frightening, scaled beings with tired yellow eyes. "The terms are simple," Zolvor said. "The Voidborn will disarm. All superweapons will be destroyed. Border worlds will be neutral zones." The lead Voidborn negotiator, General Krav, hissed softly. "And what guarantees do we have that humans won't use their unpredictable ways to attack us later?" Baker leaned forward. "The same guarantee we all have, that we've seen enough war to last 1,000 lifetimes." The peace treaty took 3 weeks to complete, but something unexpected happened during those talks. Human flexibility changed not just how the treaty was written, but how the Confederation itself worked. For too long, we've been rigid in our thinking. President Zalvor told the Confederation Assembly after the treaty was signed. Humans have shown us there are always new approaches, new ways to solve old problems. The Confederation changed its structure. The old High Council, which had ruled for millennia, was replaced with a new system where more voices could be heard. Earth was given a seat at the highest level, despite being the newest member species. On the Confederation flagship, Admiral Susan Wright stood by a window, watching ships from 100 worlds fly past. 5 years ago, she had made the decision to contact Earth. Now she wondered if she had done the right thing. "Admiral," a young officer said, interrupting her thoughts, "the human ambassador wishes to speak with you." Wright smiled. "Send him in." Ambassador Alan Carter entered, older now with gray in his hair. He had been the first human to speak with the Confederation. "Quite a view," Carter said, joining Wright at the window. "Yes," she agreed. "The galaxy looks different now." "Are you worried about what we've changed?" Carter asked directly. Wright considered the question. Change was needed. The war had reached a stalemate. Without humans, it might have continued for another 200 years. "But now you worry what else we might change," Carter said. Wright nodded. "Your people advance quickly. What you've learned in 5 years took other species centuries." Carter smiled. "That's why we need each other. You have wisdom and patience. We have new ideas and energy." Back on Earth, Sergeant Tim Murphy stepped off a transport ship, finally home after 3 years fighting across the stars. The world he returned to was not the same one he had left. Alien technology had changed everything. Buildings reached higher than ever before. Strange vehicles flew through the sky. People from other worlds walked Earth's streets, tourists eager to see the planet that had changed the war. Murphy's family waited for him, his wife running forward to hug him tight. "It's so different now," Murphy said later as they drove home, passing a school where human and alien children play together. "Better or worse?" his wife asked. Murphy watched an alien child share a toy with a human boy. "Different," he said, "but maybe better." Above Earth, ships prepared to leave for the stars. Some carried scientists seeking knowledge. Others transported families to new colony worlds. Each ship represented humanity's future among the stars. In her office on Harmony Station, Dr. Baker finished writing her history of the war. Her final words summed up what many felt. "When humans entered the war, the galaxy panicked. They feared what we might become. Now the war is over, and that fear remains. But alongside it grows hope, hope that together we might build something greater than any species could create alone. The galaxy would never be the same again." And perhaps that was exactly what it needed.